We're going to get started. Welcome to the Mayor's Weekly News Conference. Today we're excited to jointly release the Urban Land Institute panel's report in conjunction with EDDC, and now I'll turn it over to the Mayor.
Thanks, Renee, and I'm really excited with the crowd here this morning. Again, this kind of shows, I think, how Erie is working together like never before. You know, we've got public sector, private sector, elected officials. This is really wonderful. Thank you all for joining us. I'd like to acknowledge everybody, but we wouldn't get out here till noon if I did that, so I'm just going to get into our script. I'm very optimistic about where we are headed now as a region, as an entire region. I believe our brightest and our warmest days are just ahead of us here. Listen to what the Urban Land Institute team of experts who came to hear from across the country, and they've evaluated cities around the world. Here are some things they said about Erie. First, and I quote, "Erie's waterfront and natural amenities are a strength matched by few markets." They also commented that the 4 million tourists that go to Presque Isle State Park annually have an incredible opportunity. That gives us an incredible opportunity to really have an enormous impact on the downtown, all those out-of-town people that are right here in the area. Here's another quote. "Erie is a major relocation site for new immigrants. These new Americans can provide a cultural opportunity and economic activity that's unique, such as restaurants and retail." That is something that's really in sync with my thinking. Here's another quote. "A new cohort of entrepreneurs, including the Erie Innovation District and the Innovation Collaborative, have brought energy to the city and can be a future economic driver." One last quote. "The combination of the significant private sector commitment with the enthusiasm of Mayor Joe Schember's new administration offers a powerful jump start to this process." Can you feel the energy and the excitement that is here in Erie right now? To tell you more about that, I'm going to invite up to the podium John Persinger, Executive Director of the EDDC. He will provide an overview of ULI's recommendations. John.
Well, thank you, Mayor, for that introduction. Thank you all for being here this morning. I want to especially thank our partners in this effort. We really couldn't have hosted the ULI advisory panel. We couldn't have coordinated the event. We couldn't be doing all this work without great partners. Specifically on this project, I want to thank the Erie Community Foundation. Mike Batchelor's here. The Jefferson Society, I saw Fergie come in. Erie Insurance is represented. The mayor and his administration here at City Hall. It really has been a collaborative effort throughout, and I know that it's going to be a collaborative effort going forward. What I want to do this morning is talk about the key themes from the advisory panel's report, the commonalities amongst the recommendations, and then turn it back to the mayor for his final comments on the community reaction to these recommendations. Each of you can pick up a copy, I should say, after this is over, and if you'll see in the report, there were a few key themes. There are 3 key themes that run current throughout. First, Erie is at a tipping point. The city has been through 60 years of decline, and if you look on the report on page 11, I think that the job growth numbers will show this very starkly. City of Erie, over the last 10 years, this has a job growth rate of negative 4.6%. Comparable cities, Allentown has had 8.8% positive, Harrisburg positive 3.1, Lancaster 6.6. We really are at a tipping point. While the collaborative efforts undertaken thus far have been impressive, there's still much work ahead. The second key theme, planning needs to be strengthened. Planning is the keeper of the vision, and redevelopment is the financier and deal maker. There needs to be strong leadership in planning, and planning needs to be given sufficient resources. The third and final major theme running throughout the report, Erie must maintain the momentum. The key ingredients are here in place. ULI was impressed with the alignment of interests and the collaboration, both from the public and the private perspective. It is on the community, it's on us to maintain the momentum. Now I want to talk about the recommendations. As you look through the report, there are a number of recommendations. I think that they can be grouped into 6 different categories. First, reimagine the vision for Erie. Now is the time to build on Erie's competitive advantages and industries. Second, build on Erie's physical potential. We have the ingredients to be a competitive city. A great lake, a compact and historic downtown, hospitals and universities, great hospitals and universities, a walkability in our neighborhoods, location to major metropolitan areas, and a multicultural population. Now's the time to build on all those physical assets. The third group of recommendations, develop partnerships and leadership. Responsibilities and authorities should be clearly assigned, and relevant stakeholders should meet regularly to coordinate efforts. We have a lot of different groups involved in these revitalization efforts. We must continue to keep those groups involved. We must understand what each group is doing, and we must continue to keep each group accountable. Fourth, finance Erie's future. We need more public and private partnerships, and we should explore these opportunities in order to leverage all the current investments, continue to build momentum, and fulfill the vision for the community. Fifth, develop sophisticated deal makers. The community needs to develop sophisticated deal makers to attract new private investment, negotiate good deals, and identify sources of public funds that can fill the gaps in developments until the market can carry the development privately. Sixth, and finally, include all of Erie. Erie's diversity is an additional strength, and it should be used as another competitive advantage. Going forward, we must make sure that all of our developments include all of Erie. To reiterate what the mayor said, the advisory panel was impressed with the alignment of interests in Erie, the creation of the EDDC, a new enthusiastic mayor, an engaged, knowledgeable county executive, an active business, university, hospital leadership group, an engaged community foundation, and active neighborhood leadership. But again, they stress that we are at a tipping point, and it's up to us to continue the momentum forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, John. Like the EDDC, the city has also gleaned takeaways from ULI in 2 areas. The first is our organizational structure, and the second is implementation of Erie Refocused. Our city planner, Kathy Rosnick, who is here, spent much of the fall following ULI's preliminary recommendations, which we received on August 3rd. For the next few minutes, I will try to explain the steps the city is taking in response to ULI's 8 recommendations. The first recommendation is understand and embrace the economics of the downtown market and factors that are driving Erie's economy. In response to this, we recognize that the Erie Regional Chamber and Growth Partnership, under the leadership of James Grunke, will lead economic development in Erie County, including the downtown. James and his team are right now performing a target market analysis, which will create the economic development strategy for the region. This analysis should be completed within the first half of 2019. The second recommendation was create an inventory of land assets, including blighted, vacant, and tax delinquent properties, and also a streamlined process to convert properties into productive use. Here are the next steps we're taking in this area. There's actually already a process in place to reduce blight, vacant, and tax delinquent properties. This process includes 5 things. First, there's the Blighted Property Review Board, which identifies and designates tax delinquent and blighted properties. Second, the Erie Redevelopment Authority, which acquires blighted properties for reuse. Third, the Erie Land Bank, which can deal very quickly with challenged properties. Fourth, the Neighborhood Strategic Planning Initiative, which plans for effective blight strategies in each of Erie's 17 neighborhoods. And fifth, the recent cooperative agreement between the County Land Bank and that's going to enable the City Land Bank to reduce blight significantly. And I want to thank the County Land Bank Board for being very fair in sharing funds from the casino to fight blight. My team and I will also work with the Chamber, the Erie County Redevelopment Authority, the Erie County Land Bank, the City Land Bank, and the Redevelopment Authority to identify, plan, and execute non-residential redevelopment projects. The third recommendation by ULI was cultivate a culture of inclusion, communication, accountability for the public, private, and nonprofit sectors as the EDC and the city lead the effort to reimagine Erie. And this is one I'm really happy about, as you're probably not surprised. Because as you all know, celebrating Erie's rich cultural diversity is the first element of our 5-point vision for transforming Erie. My team and I are committed to eliminating racism and prejudice in Erie so that every member of our community is valued regardless of their race, gender, ethnicity, religious beliefs, or sexual preference. Led by the city planner again, Kathy Rosdick, we are now working to develop measures of our progress in celebrating Erie's cultural diversity and the other 4 components of our vision. We also have mayor's advisory councils that will continue to help us build community values, build the value of diversity in our community. These groups include the Mayor's Business Council, the LGBTQ+ Council, the Strengthening Police and Community Partnerships Group, the Erie Neighborhood Growth Partnership, and a new initiative started this year, the People's Supper. Finally, what Aaron Lonke and the Cafe Board are doing with Celebrate Erie, and what the Erie Arts and Culture's New Horizons initiative, led by Patrick Fisher, these 2 things will also help us value what makes Erie really unique. The 4th recommendation from ULI was adopt a set of guiding principles for the redevelopment of the downtown. We have a 2010 downtown streetscape master plan that, again, under Kathy Rosdick's leadership, we plan to aggressively implement. We will encourage investment in projects that improve the vitality of the downtown. We will continue to work with PennDOT and representatives from all downtown businesses, nonprofits, and elected officials so that our incredible Bayfront has a true iconic connection with our downtown and the 2 neighborhoods. The city will also work closely with the Parking Authority to ensure the amount and accessibility of parking is appropriate. ULI's 5th recommendation was redevelop the EDDC footprint with a variety of mixed-use projects. The city will work with the EDDC and the Erie Downtown Partnership to develop design standards that help support the redevelopment efforts. The City Planning Commission and newly proposed Historic Preservation Task Force will also help with these guidelines. The 6th recommendation from EDDC, or from the ULI, was to create a new organizational structure in the city and strengthen our planning department. Our next steps here, again, our planning director, Kathy Rosdick, will lead the city's efforts to create a world-class downtown in Bayfront. Regular city meetings will include discussions of land use, parks, and neighborhood development. These meetings will include code enforcement, zoning, the Planning Commission, parks, civil engineering, traffic engineering, and infrastructure. Priorities, progress, and issues related to the downtown and Bayfront development will also be an important part of the agenda of our weekly meetings with city directors. 7th, ULI recommended enhance financial capacity to do public-private partnerships and identify internal and external funding sources. So we've got to have the money to do this. I expect that our early intervention program will provide recommendations that will substantially increase city revenue and substantially decrease city expenses, and I plan to implement every recommendation they make unless there was a very good reason that we shouldn't. Chris Groner and his team in economic and community development are also providing great leadership in building this public-private partnership. We will be announcing 3 things over the next month or so to actually increase the effectiveness of Chris and his group. First, there'll be a new grant program announced. Second, there'll be a substantial increase in the funds that Chris has to lend to local businesses. Third, we'll have a new business development officer who will replace Brett Weiler. Brett is going to be joining the Chamber of Commerce on Monday. Brett has done a great job for us here. We will miss him, His work over the last year has really made a difference and led to the development of our 8 opportunity zones. In fact, it was a lot of Brett's work that made us be designated as one of the top 10 locations in the entire country for opportunity zones. We look forward, though, to continuing to work with Brett. Brett is here with us as well. We'll continue to work with him very closely, because even though he's being paid by the Chamber of Commerce now, he's really still working for the city to make it better. We plan to initiate a stormwater feasibility study also this year. This study will be done jointly with Mill Creek and the Erie County Planning Commission, or Department of Planning. The study will identify projects, funding options to incorporate best management practices as part of the implementation of the Downtown Streetscape Master Plan. Adding stormwater improvements within our urban core will enhance our public spaces. And I'm finally to number 8, the 8th recommendation from ULI, which was the city must perform targeted outreach to community leaders. Chairs of all public and quasi-public authorities, boards, and commissions will meet quarterly in 2019 to coordinate actions as we work together to transform the city. Quarterly downtown summit meetings, which have been going on in 2018, will continue. These meetings will inform our task force on plans and needs of downtown businesses and property owners, and also ensure all development is coordinated. You know, we have a lot of work to do, but it's very exciting and very energizing. ULI has provided us with direction on how to implement our vision more quickly. My team and I are engaged and energized. More importantly, the EDDC, the downtown businesses, nonprofits, the downtown partnerships, our entire community is ready to collaborate on transforming Erie. There are 3 additional very quick things I just want to mention before we open it to questions. First is, this is just a reminder for people that live in the city. Due to the extreme wind chills, we experienced a delay in trash pickup for 2 days. So if your regular pickup was Tuesday, your trash will actually be picked up tonight, Thursday. If your regular pickup was Wednesday, your trash is going to be picked up tomorrow, on Friday. And if your regular pickup was tonight, on Thursday, it'll actually be picked up Saturday. So we just kind of wanted to get that word out. Also, the extreme weather conditions create a lot more probability of fire and flooding and damage and danger. Because of that, we're aggressively ticketing today and tomorrow vehicles that are illegally parked near fire hydrants, stop signs, and bus stops. If you live near a fire hydrant and you're physically able, we'd also appreciate it if you could make sure it's shoveled out in case it's needed. The third thing is that I'm very excited that Google presenters and coaches will be here hosting a free Grow with Google workshop on Friday at the Blasco Library. Grow with Google has been a national tour in partnership with America's Libraries since 2017. You can register free online for workshops and one-on-one coaching. That wraps up today's press conference. John and I and members of our team will be available for interviews afterwards. And the books, the actual books, if you want one of those, are right up here to your left. Thanks very much for being here today, everybody. I really appreciate it.